Binter Canarias flight NT501 on ATR 72600 landed on runway 03 left at Las Palmas Airport de Gran Canaria, with the parking brake engaged. Hello aviators, how are you today? My name is Magnar Nordahl. I am an ATR captain and instructor, and I am recording from Wailoa Loa Open Window Studio. The sky is blue and the birds are singing. And when we're talking about birds, I have a report here from Canary Islands. Aviation Safety Network reports that on Wednesday, 9 August 2023 at 0849, ATR 72600 from NISA on behalf of Binter Canarias. With 73 occupants, there was a substantial damage, which was repaired, and it's a serious incident at Las Palmas Airport de Gran Canaria. This aircraft departed Lanzarote Airport, and the narrative from the report, which was released a few days ago. We have Binter Canarias flight NT501 on ATR 72600 landed on runway 03 left at Las Palmas Airport de Gran Canaria, with the parking brake engaged. The aircraft sustained perforations and abrasion to the tires and rims of its main gear. The flight took off from Lanzarote Airport at 08:15 local time. At 08:26, while at flight level 080, that's 8,000 feet pressure altitude, the flight crew began taking photographs in the cockpit. On the cockpit voice recorder, the captain could be heard saying, "I don't want that in it. There, I want the throttle in." Apparently a reference to a control that was obstructing the view of the throttle in a photo he was trying to take. At that time, the parking brake was engaged and remained engaged for the rest of the flight. The aircraft landed at 0849, and during rollout, the flight crew noticed a slight deviation to the left side of the runway, which was immediately corrected. After realigning, the crew noticed that the deceleration of the aircraft was more intense than expected, and it came to a stop shortly thereafter in the center of the runway. After inspecting the aircraft on the runway, abrasion damage to the tires and rims of the main gear was detected. There were no injuries to the people on board the aircraft. Causes: the investigation has concluded that the cause of the incident was the execution of a landing with the parking brake on. The crew deliberately engaged the parking brake in flight and then forgot to disengage it, but did not become aware of the issue until landing. The following factors are thought to have contributed to the incident: overconfidence and complacency on part of the crew. When you're talking about the crew, the captain was very experienced. He had almost 7,000 hours on the ATR, while the co-pilot had little experience. He had 383 hours on the type and around 600 hours total time. So we had a very steep gradient when it comes to experience. There is a transcript from the flight data recorder. On the top we have the altitude of the aircraft. We see the climb, the cruise, descent and landing. Below, the ground speed, and then weight on wheels, so it shows when it's on the ground and airborne. Landing gear, it's down and up after takeoff and down before landing. Flaps, 15 for takeoff and 15 then 30 for landing. In fact, it's 32 degrees on the ATR-72, but I call it 30, it's a round number. And then come the interesting page, and that is the brake pressure. After aircraft become airborne, of course the pressure is around 0, and then it goes straight to 3000 psi at the time where the captain was talking about the lever. And the brake pressure remained there for the rest of the flight until they have landed. This chart shows the brake pressure and ground speed during landing roll. On the top, the blue line is the ground speed, and below The magenta line shows weight on wheel, so you can see exactly where the aircraft touched down, and the speed starts to decrease. And the next line are brake pressure on all wheels, and we can see when the ground speed is around slightly below 30 knots, the brake pressure goes towards 0, which means the captain discovered a mistake and put the brake lever to off. And then there was manual braking on the left and right side, and after the aircraft stopped, they put on a park brake. This picture shows how the wheels look like in normal operation, and here you see the result after the landing. And you can see the rims on the runway, so they're also damaged. However, the brake system appeared to be in good condition, and of course the tires were completely destroyed. Okay, let's have a look at the power quadrant. Normal in flight, we have the power levers here and the parking brake lever. And if you want to take a picture from the captain side, from the left, you see the parking brake lever may obstruct the view for the camera. So he selected this lever to parking position, and he forgot it in that position. So could they have discovered this mistake? Yes, they could have seen the lever. It's not in a normal position. There is also another indication, and that is on the engine warning display. That's in the center of the cockpit panel. And here you have the engine indications, and on the left side you have trim TLU. That's the travel limit unit that restricts the rudder motion at high speeds, and the flaps indicator. And the parking brake on is in amber text between the TLU low speed indication and the flap indicator. So you should have seen it, because there should not be any amber labels or warnings on that display. This is what it looks like when you do the before landing checklist. First line, cabin crew advice, that is done by pilot monitoring. Then comes landing gear, 3 greens, and here is the pilot flying will respond to every item. So the first officer in this case was pilot monitoring, will read landing gear, captain will look, 3 green. And then we continue with the flaps, 30, power management takeoff, TLU low speed, check. And here's the question, did they really look at this indication? Because parking brake on is between the flap and TLU here. And if they had not narrowed their vision, but look a little wider, they should have seen it. But sometimes you may skip checking, don't you? You go through the checklist, what you have done hundreds of times before, and you are so sure the indication is there, because the landing gear, you can hear it extending, you hear and you see, and it affects your performance. Same with the flaps. Then you have the auto speed, changing the speed, your target speed. On your primary flight display, you can see the forces of the pitch change. You can hear the trim moving. There are so many indications, so maybe you skip checking when you do the checklist. Maybe the captain was flying manually. There's no information about that. That means you have more focus out the window, and that leaves more responsibility to the pilot monitoring who do the checklist. And if he only sit and read the checklist and don't look around the cockpit, he may miss it as well. When you do a checklist, you have to do it slowly. And you have to really check, look at the item before you answer, not after. That can also happen. So they had the possibility to discover this mistake, absolute. And once you're talking about that, when you prepare for approach, pilot monitoring will have a look at all system pages on the MFD. There are 4 of them. And Sometimes I notice the other pilot is skipping through them in 2 seconds. They have looked through 4 pages. Please don't do that. There might be an indication that shouldn't be there. Even if you see only green, there might be differences between left and right system. For example, on this page, the engine, secondary and fuel, there are 7 different indications you have to compare with the other side. You cannot do that in half a second. You have to sit and compare indication that should be symmetrical, more or less. One day I saw the oil temperature was 80 degrees on one side, but 100 degrees on the other engine. And yes, both were green, but there were different numbers with quite a big difference here. So after landing, when I did a walk around, I noticed the oil cooler flaps, they were open on one engine, but on the engine that had a high oil temperature, the oil cooler flaps was closed. So I reported to maintenance. I suspect this oil cooler flaps is locked, is jammed in locked position, which means there is less cooling for the oil. And that was right, it had been jammed. But there can also be other indications that may lead to a bigger problem later on, so the earlier you can catch differences and abnormal indications, the better, right? And one more thing, you see the fingerprints here on the screen? They are not touch screens. I have flown the 600 for 8 years, and very often I enter the cockpit, I see fingerprints on the screens, also the MCDU. And the first thing I had to do is to clean them, the screens. Please point towards the screen, use a pen or something soft object made of plastic if you absolutely need to touch the screen, but it should not be necessary. Please don't do it. And is there anything to be learned here? Oh yes. Do the checklist carefully, check the systems carefully. Just lean a little back, take an overview. Does it look okay? Overhead panel should be no amber lights whatsoever. And the same on the screens here. So take your time, resonate, take a deep breath, count slowly to 10. Make sure everything looks as it should. Another thing, you may have noticed that under the video you will see you can join me as a member on this channel, and while it costs you quite a small amount, from $1 up per month, you help me a lot because it takes a lot of effort to produce videos. So thank you to all of you who support me. I really appreciate. And as we say in Fiji, vinaka. And that's all for this time. Have a wonderful day and happy landing.